Hi, guys. Welcome to the Lioness Den. Each month, we bring you a relevant topic to give you pointers, help you along the way, inspire you, just a conversation. And today, we're here again with a great topic, some information that we hope will help you, inspire you to learn more about it, but also, if you're in the situation, can help you along the way. This month, we're talking about autism awareness. This is Autism Awareness Month. And so we're going to jump right into the topic. So we're back, and I want to introduce this awesome panel we have today. So we're going to start off with introducing this panel we have. So today we have Miss Kenya Sullivan, we have Miss Stephanie Carter, and we have Mr. Alonzo Chapman. I'm going to give each person a chance to introduce themselves. So we're going to start with Kenya and end with Alonzo. Kenya, unmute your mic for me, please, and let's go ahead and start with you.
Okay, I am Kenya Sullivan. I am the mother of Keela. She was diagnosed in 2012, I believe, of having autism.
Okay. Stephanie.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Carter. I'm the proud parent of Antonio Thompson. My son was diagnosed with autism at the age of 5. And this journey has been something special.
Yes.
Mr. Alonzo.
Hello. My name is Alonzo Chapman. I do not have an autistic child, but I have been working as a behavioral specialist, behavioral resource, behavior plan writer, in-home counselor. I've been specializing in working with autistic individuals and individuals on ranging places on the spectrum for about 10 years now.
Amen.
Amen, Sister Kenya.
Man, it's different when they're kids, and then when they get older, it's a whole nother something you got to worry about. So there's an educator's, and a caregiver's perspective on it, and then there's the parental side, you know, and then there's even the gender differences because I have a preteen. Good God, okay,
Okay.
and she's a girl, so.
So let's start off with talking about when your child was, I guess, diagnosed. So Kenya, I know a little bit. Well, I know all of your story. I don't want to say a little bit. I know all of your story. We've been friends for a long time. And can you tell us about when you were first told that Keela was autistic?
Well, Kennedy Krieger here in Baltimore, Maryland. I already knew when she was about maybe 3 months that she was displaying some gestures and mannerisms that reminded me of both of my nieces. I have a younger sister who's a year younger than me. She has 4 kids, but her last 2 have autism, and they're girls. So it's really unique. And based on my experiences with them when they were little, I had a suspicion that maybe Keela had it then. And so I asked her godmother at the time, Roxanne, and she agreed with me. And by 6 months, I was pretty sure. So I had to go and talk to her father. Of course, he was in denial there for a minute, but then he could see as she was getting older. And I said, well, I'm going to get her checked out. We thought maybe it was her hearing because she would not answer when you would call her name, but she was still meeting all her milestones. But by the time she was about a year old, I was pretty sure. And her pediatrician at the time said she was too young. We don't want to make a diagnosis just yet. Wait till she's about 3. Well, by the end of 2012, I had finally got an appointment with Kennedy Krieger, and her doctor gave me the diagnosis. It was life changing, but I was already mentally prepared for it because I've been dealing with it. It's just putting a name on something you already know. And I'm like, wow, it really is this. And so I said, well, I guess maybe I can talk to my sister about it but my sister's like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm like, what? You don't know what to tell me? And she said, each kid is very different. And just because, my two do, things different, they're very different with themselves. I really can't tell you much. And I'm like, wow. Okay, so I really feel like I'm out here by myself, with resources and all that. But it was it was something that I was already bracing myself for. It's just trying to brace everybody else, because it was oh no, just because it happened to your sister doesn't mean, I'm like, I'm gonna be ready either way. At the time, I was 40, so it wasn't like I was new to momhood. I'd helped raise other people's kids and all of that, so I was more prepared in a lot of ways.
So Kenya, I was around you during that time,
Mm-hmm.
and so of course I'm not Kila's mom, but Kayla was a seemed to be nothing wrong with her as a baby. She played with my daughter. They were
Yeah.
like their first friends. And
Yes.
so, for a new mom who has a kid and doesn't have the knowledge that you have, it would be pretty difficult for them to understand what's going on with their kid. So I'm really taking my head off to you because I was telling you the whole time. You said, Lydia, I think something's wrong. And I said, nah, she's cool. And Kayla would just look up at you with just, and she
That
was so
look.
smart. She could do so
Yes.
many things. Yeah, she would give you
Brilliant.
that look, but she could do so many things. Like,
Brilliant.
yeah, she seemed to be even advanced because she could pick out stuff and all of that say babies are supposed to do.
Yeah.
And you kept saying it's something wrong. And I remember us being in the house and I'm like, I don't know what she's talking about. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
she wants, and you were like, yes, Lydia, there is something wrong. So
Yes.
yeah, my head is off to you. Stephanie, tell us your story, please.
Well, I had my first son at the age of 18.
Mm.
So, and uh, I had my son in 1998. So we're talking a little more than a decade earlier than what
Yeah.
the the
Yeah.
experience was. So if you thought that little was known to you in 2012, why, by golly, it
Mm-hmm.
was it was nothing known in 2004,
You talk
sweetie.
about
Let me
no
tell
manual. They don't give you no
no
manual.
manual, honey. They knew
No
not.
instructions.
Okay, you would have thought I was one of the first cases. Okay.
Wow.
um, it was I knew at an early age as well that my son Antonio was that something was different about him. He was speech delayed. He didn't start speaking phrases until maybe 2. He didn't start speaking maybe full sentences until maybe 5. He walked on time, and he went to the bathroom on time, which in
Mm.
some forms of autism is
Yes.
not rare. Um,
Yes.
and so I was, so we were like, it was a dance with him. So what I found out is he was diagnosed at 4, turn on 5. And I was in a program that referred him to Child's Find. They were located on North Avenue. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Northern Parkway. And they did the same series of tests that probably Kendi Krieger did,
Mm-hmm.
for the hearing and the speech. And he could hear, but he just wouldn't respond when you yell out. When certain kids made certain gestures towards certain things, Tony would be in a calm form. So when I found out, in your sense, I kind of felt like I was prepared because I had an aunt who was Down syndrome, who I helped my grandmother and mom take care of, and she went to Chimes, so I knew about a little bit about having taken care of someone with special needs. But what I didn't know is with Down syndrome, it was a lot more material known with me and my son. It was little to nothing to me. I also later joined Kennedy Krieger and also got help, but it was not a lot going on in the early 2000s.
Wow. Wow. I don't even know what to say, to be honest. I gotta tell you, I know Kenya's story, but I met you after Tony was born. I met you
Mhm.
closer with your second son,
Tavon.
Tavon. Yeah,
Yeah.
so Tavon, that's when we met, and we've been
Yes.
around one another forever. But I didn't know that you went through that much with Tony. Just getting the information.
Oh yeah.
It seems like they would have more at this point help parents with children with autism. But this is the two. We're in this decade right now, and you're saying at the beginning they still didn't know what to tell you.
No.
That's yeah.
It was it
That's
was it was even hard, and even when they was putting him through school in his special needs classes,
Mhm.
because again, if you can't teach a artistic child the same way you would teach just a low functioning child, or a dyslexic child, or something. Like, it's not in the same format. And then if you put maybe 6 artistic children in a room, you're talking about 6 totally different diagraphics.
Exactly.
You're
Yep.
talking about 6 totally different worlds
Exactly.
going on.
Yep.
Like, for instance, I had to have conversations. I don't know if Alonzo, if anybody else can relate, but I would have to tell people that do not think Tony is disrespecting you because he's not looking you straight in the eye. He
Oh
cannot
yes.
look you straight
I
in the
still
eye,
gotta do
because
that.
when he sees you, he's not seeing you. He's seeing
Mhm.
way more. Because
Mhm.
again, old school parents, if you don't look me in the eye,
Look at
boy,
me. Mhm.
like, bruh,
Look
you
at
know,
me when I'm talking to you.
focus.
Mhm.
No, no. Focus is not what we doing here. So it was a lot to have to learn the certain gestures and the certain things that I had to go. Now, Tony is artistic and has ADHD.
Mm.
He's high functioning. He's 38% artistic, and he
Mm.
has PDD, which is excuse my large lips and my ghetto-ness, but Lonzo will help me out, because that's my king
Girl,
right
just
there.
talk.
Um,
Okay.
he has PDD. I think it's Perceived Development Disorder.
You did pretty
That's
good with
it.
that. You good. You good.
You heard him. You heard him. You heard him.
Some of the
okay.
things, yeah. Whew, they
So
hard to
so
say.
Alonzo, can you tell us what? So someone like me, I have no idea. I know what some of it means, but not all of it. So can you share with us
Oh.
what that means?
Get him, Lonzo.
All right. So let's start a little broader. Let me give you a little context. Like everyone had talked about their entrance or their introduction to individuals with autism. I had a very early introduction to an individual with autism. It was actually two. I had two brothers that were twins that attended my high school that were autistic, and I attended City High. So at that time, it was not called autism; it was called
Mhm.
Asperger's.
Mhm.
So you can see that how things have changed over time, just in that brief amount of time, because I graduated in 2006. So in 2006, it was called Asperger's, and there were two twins who were able to function academically at a high enough level to be honor roll level students at City College.
That's amazing.
But for the vast majority of people that interacted with them, they were highly nonverbal. And then when they were verbal, sometimes their speech was a little mumbled. Sometimes they wouldn't make eye contact. So it created a very interesting picture for me when I started my life experience with autism, because I got to see very high functioning people who, funny thing, actually ended up attending the college that I went to. So for an extended amount of
Mm.
time, I got to see these brothers
Nice.
actually pursue their dreams and actually
That's
work
good.
and be successful.
That's
And they
lovely.
big fans of Tyler Perry. And I didn't do too much actual like work with them, but I got to look at them from a distance. And from a distance, I watched they did the same film projects that I did. They turned in the same papers. They received a bachelor's degree.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? So
Awesome.
there is a very large spectrum.
Mhm.
What we have to understand when we're dealing with autism is first that there is a spectrum.
Mhm.
There is no set level of autism that will allow you to just identify it. Back in the day, there was no identifier for autism. You were either seen as low functioning
Mhm.
or you were seen as awkward. Now, a great example of this that we all know and we might not know is Jerry Seinfeld. Jerry Seinfeld is autistic,
Mhm.
and he never realized it growing up. He just saw himself as weird, and he saw the world through a different lens. And that's really what we have to kind of take into context when we think about autism. Is not necessarily that it is a deficiency as much as it is a different lens to look through. So imagine if the entire world is watching black and white television, your autistic child could be looking at the world in color. So when you try to make certain connections and certain communications and you look for certain social cues that will come naturally to you because you're looking at the world at this black and white version, it appears to be foreign to your autistic child or
Yep.
individual that you're interacting with because they see the world through a different lens. So, what we find ourselves having to do is finding the middle ground of
Yes.
communication. And
Yes.
that is done mainly and primarily through relationship. And that's at
Yep.
every level. That's in the home, that's in the school with
School. Yep.
educators, that's
Church.
in the community with
Yeah,
friends, that's even with psychiatrists and therapists because you
yeah,
still
Yes.
have to
yeah,
have a balanced team
yeah.
working together in order for the child to have what they need to be successful.
So true.
I have to throw in that there is no limit to what autistic children can do.
Preach.
There's
Which
no
is what
limit.
Lydia said to me.
There's no cap. There's no cap. I worked with one autistic gentleman, and Lydia, you familiar with him because his family is the one that actually took me to Israel. Um, and while I was over there working with them, and they wanted me to come and help supervise, I got to work with a young man who, while he struggled socially, could recount things on a numerical level that were unreal. Like he could tell me every stat of every New York Yankee for the past 10 years.
Whoa.
Man.
Whoa.
Yeah,
And so we have to understand that like we are simply looking to for a key, and most times when we're working with autistic individuals, that's simply going to unlock the world to them. Because
Yes.
once you unlock the world,
Boom.
they're individuals. So they have every opportunity. And at the same rate, they are still individuals. So once we unlock the world, they're still going to be themselves. So not everybody's going to be, an amazing genius that knows everything. Some people is going to unlock the world and they'll have regular lives. Some
Right.
people will be superheroes. And some people might be lower functioning and they might need support. They might need a person to check with them once a week. They might need to live in residential treatment. But we have to find that and we have to make sure that we are giving them everything they need to live their best life.
Yes.
Okay, that's my speech.
That was awesome.
That was a
That
good
was
speech, brother.
awesome.
That was a good speech.
That was
I mean,
awesome.
that's
I learned
right.
a lot.
That's right.
Lord have mercy. That was
You gotta
awesome.
drink that water. That's thirst right there.
I'm gonna throw my towel at him.
Yeah, that was wonderful. I mean, you just said more than a mouthful,
You
but it
need to
was
come to my
very
daughter's IEP meeting.
What?
Here's the thing.
it
I
was
did.
Y'all
Girl,
fired him so quick. He was knocking on advocate quick.
Stephanie, I'm
Oh,
about to get
they'd have been
him.
mad when they seen him come in the room. They'd be like,
Yes.
oh,
I do
oh,
IEPs. Like honestly, my biggest thing with IEPs sometimes is when you go into an IEP meeting, everyone involved, and this is from my personal experience. I'm not throwing no shade to anyone.
you
Everyone
better know
needs
that
to check
shit.
their pride at the door.
That's right.
Um, Oftentimes, what I have found when working with professionals, and I find myself in an interesting place because I have my bachelor's, but my bachelor's is not in psychology. So oftentimes, whereas though I understand the academic approach and the academic process, I am coming at this from a more organic and a more rooted and a more grassroots level because I kind of learned this from the ground up. So I find
That's
myself
right.
coming into meetings at times where people who say maybe have more degrees, and I know there are amazing people out there who are doing awesome work, and I don't want to take anything away from them, but sometimes we really need to check our pride And we need to realize that each child is an individual, because sometimes we find ourselves trying to cookie cutter children based off what has been successful in the past. And that's why I don't want to throw any shade, because I've done it myself. Like, I've had children who showed high aggression, and from my early years, I came in from a earlier crisis, de-escalation, restraint. Like, when we came through originally, when I came into the field, we was them boys. Like, if we showed up, you were, wrecking the class, you wrecking the unit, you have harmed someone else. So we're going to restrain you and get you back to a baseline behavior. And over time, especially once I made my way up through the ranks a little bit, and you get a little promotion, and you have to sit in more meetings and you do more things, you start to look at it more. And at times where there were some kids, you came through with that structure and you conducted a restraint effectively. They were good. They got the message, and you went on with your therapeutic process. And then I met kids who had past trauma, and restraints were like hugs. I've worked with kids who have sensory deprivation issues. So you could squeeze or hold or try and do whatever you're doing, and it doesn't matter. And then at the same rate, here's another thing. We also have times where people get frustrated and they make detrimental mistakes in the field. And if you make that mistake, you cause a high level of trauma, which is what, for 5 years, that was my job, to review this footage and make sure we are not making detrimental mistakes that are going to injure and traumatize these children. Because guess what? All of that, like it does for you, it does for me, it affects them, and it affects the way they look at the world. But what it's going to cause them to do, much like it does for all of us, is form maladaptive behaviors. And then we want to deal with maladaptive behaviors with more traumatic treatment. Sometimes we got to open our eyes and we have to step back and we have to look at what is working. That's why I'm a big fan of data collection. Give me a tally mark. What did they do? Because here's the thing. You can have a child that does. You put me on a big screen.
Simple.
You could have a child that, you feel what I'm saying, does amazing for, let's say you're working with a child, or your child's going to be home with you for 8 hours. And for 6 of those hours, that child is absolutely amazing. And in that 6 hour, something happens, the child is triggered, and we have a major crisis. At the end of the day, you will not remember the 6 hours that child was amazing. You will forget everything. So it's imperative that, we keep track, and we keep a literal track. Like, if parents at home, take data. It takes absolutely nothing to get you a sheet of notebook paper, draw you some lines, just like you did back in middle school. Get you a ruler and a pencil, and write. You can write every 30 minutes, every 15 minutes. If you're in a bad spot, every 5 minutes. And let's see what's happening. Okay, at 5:05, Jimmy decided he was going to throw his tablet across the floor. I'm just throwing something out there. You know what I'm saying? And then, all right, one tally mark. At 5:06, Jimmy did it. At 5:07, let's go over and look at what Jimmy's looking at on the tablet. You feel what I'm saying? Because maybe Jimmy is looking at something on YouTube that's upsetting him. But too often we go, Jimmy, I paid $85 for that tablet, and you ain't gonna throw it across the floor.
Right. Yeah.
So have we figured out why Jimmy's throwing the tablet? No. We have traumatized Jimmy.
And we haven't disciplined anything. You haven't taught Jimmy a thing. Because what I did learn is that artistic people, according to my son, they listen the way they see you. So my son does not hear what you're saying. Understand me? He looks at you.
Very visual. He's a visual learner, like my daughter too.
So that way, the beautiful thing with my son is that he can read a bull crapper so quick. It's amazing. Like, I literally used to see advocates try to come in and play that, okay, Tony, hi. So we're gonna, they think they're gonna just try 6 different ways to get into Tony. And while he's sitting there checking you, and in his head, You think you calling him stupid. He's calling you all
You,
kinds of dummies
oh
and
yeah,
fools and monkeys because he's like, what are you doing? And then you'll have that one amazing person like Lonzo who has done the work, who has
yeah.
done inside and outside, who will come and sit down and tell you, okay, this is what's going on. This
Learn
is
the
what I
language.
think needs to be
That's
done.
right.
What do you think needs to be done? Because that's the only thing when I went in these IEP meetings and these advocacy meetings, that's the first thing I'm waiting for you to say. I'm waiting for you to ask my opinion. I'm not waiting for you to tell me yours because nobody knows my artistic son better than me. I
Hmm.
am your best guide to him.
Yep.
So that's why I was one of those mothers at, mind you, I was at 18. So when my son was 5, I'm going on 21. I never missed the IEP meeting.
That's right.
When I didn't understand the language, I went and got an advocate for Candy Krieger to show up at my meetings. When I
Amen.
started learning the language, I was good on my own. When I
Amen.
didn't like what I liked, I called DPT, Baltimore City North Avenue, and things got done. So
Amen.
I mean, I just go harder than paint because that's just the mother I am. But what wasn't going to happen is Tony was going to slip into the system and you was just going to pass him through and make everything okay. Because like Lonzo was saying, they'll try to fit him into a box. And autism ain't a box, it's a circle. And you can't form that. You cannot form it. And they will try. When I tell you,
Mm, mm, mm.
they will try to tell you everything about your child.
Oh yes.
And
Yes.
you and I'm like, no, that's not right. But
Yeah.
but he did that here with me. Okay, he did that with you for 2 days. Did you sit with him for 3 days? Well, no, I watched Tony for a week.
That, that, mm, mm,
Well, then you
mm,
got a week's observation. What was going on that week? Did his cartoon come on? Was he happy? You know what I mean? So everything that Alonzo is saying in the intelligent way,
100.
I'm saying it in the motherly way and speaking for, of course, me and of course the other queen on the stage, is that when you don't have somebody speaking like that and you don't know it in yourself, it can set off a rabbit hole of what your child will go
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
with miscommunication, with misdiagnosis, with mistreatment, with mismedication. They'll try anything.
I will tell you, it is imperative that you know your child. And when I
Mm.
say know your child, I mean know their child, know your child, know their diagnosis, know their medication, know the effects, know the side effects. If you get to a certain point, know their blood work and their numbers so
That's
you
right.
can be able to at least be coherent in these conversations. Now, I say
Mhm.
this for a reason, and I do not want to throw people under the bus because I want to make one point to be fair. A lot of these people that are working in the mental health field are absolutely swamped. This is a field that is severely understaffed and
Yes,
underpaid.
yes,
Very
So
underpaid.
yes,
sometimes you will
yes.
find an amazing counselor who has the best heart in the world, and they start off the morning, and in the morning everything is right, and they're diagnosing, and everything is great. But by the time they've got to their 15th client, they got no more, but they still got 30 to see. Like
Yeah.
craziness. Like, so I don't want to pile on them too hard because
Mhm.
they do good work at times, and at times they can do amazing things for people. But sometimes you run, and I have run across individuals, and there have been times where me myself swamped. Like, it was me and one partner, and we were responsible for 56 children,
I
oversee
can't imagine.
56
I,
behaviors
I couldn't
every
imagine.
day,
I couldn't imagine.
oversee
My daughter
56
is
treatment
I got
plans.
one. I
right.
got
Let's see
one.
my finger up. I'm like,
My
Keela is
eyebrows
like,
sweating right now.
girl,
Talking about
Keela is
one.
like 5 kids in
And that
one.
man said 56.
Her
So,
teacher, her
One.
teacher, her
I'm on
teacher
here.
has like,
like, I have reached out, and I had a partner. We were like Batman and Robin, whatever you want to call it. And there's been times when I looked out and I said, dude, I can't. It's been all day. And I have had days I have literally left work and you would have thought I was at the gym. My shirt was soaking wet from sweat. We have been here. I got the
Mine
sloppy
tired.
bun on the top of my head. It's been snatched by some child off to the side. I got scratches up and down my wrist, but I'm trying to do this the
Spent.
best way possible.
Spent.
And I'm burnt. And when we had a 2-man team, should it have been a 6-man team? It would have
Yes.
been great.
Yes.
But we had to fight for funding for a 2-man team
Yeah.
because people thought it could be done with a 1-man team. So
My God.
It's a real lack. We need definitely more advocates, more degrees in that. It is definitely a lack, but it's underpaid. It is so
Yeah.
underpaid.
Yeah.
And again, I'm speaking from a mother. I love my son. So what I do is for the love of my son.
That's
And Lonzo, this might be his walk. So what he's doing is his walk. So some people, honey, it's just a job. So, and
Yeah.
they're going to treat it as such. You check in at 9 and you clock out at 5.
My daughter
And-
had a gym teacher that was like that. He failed her the whole school year. And I even asked him to come to the IEP meeting. I said, "What is the problem?" He said, "She won't participate." I said, "Did you forget she had autism?
Participate.
Did you forget?" He said, "Well, she doesn't participate like the other kids." I said, "Because that's Keela." So I asked the dance teacher, I said, "Does she participate in dance when you have the music playing?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Is there a mirror in there?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Take the mirror to the gym." What was so hard with that? I will bring one. Watch what she does. He was like, she just wouldn't participate.
I have a question for you because, Keela is still school age. And so
Getting ready to go to middle
you have
school.
you've been on a journey. I'm not sure that Stephanie's on the same journey because Tony's 21 now, Stephanie?
Yeah, I mean, I've been on her journey.
Yeah.
Yes, you've been on her journey.
Done it. I've
Right.
already done it, Steph.
Yes. So
I cannot.
Keela's been home through this whole COVID. And so that means that her
right.
schooling and her total day activities have been on you to oversee.
Girl.
How has that experience worked, and what techniques have you been able to use during this time? And Alonzo, that same question for you because you are the director of a house with autistic children, and you guys have been kind of overrun when I talk to you often. But Kenya, you first. What has that experience, and any tips for parents who are at home all day with their children right now?
The best thing I can tell you is order. Have as much order as you can. Order meaning a schedule. What the schedule was at school is what I kept here at home to the best of my ability. Because my daughter is a eater, when I tell you she can eat, she eat like a grown woman. A big grown woman. She eat. So she was used to having her, a breakfast here in the morning, and then, breakfast at school, then lunch, then a snack. And then when she comes home, she has dinner early, a snack maybe before she goes to sleep. So everything was geared around whatever the schedule. So if they ate at 11 o'clock at school, on Saturdays at 11 o'clock, she was eating here too. And it was rigorous because when she was younger, like between the ages of like maybe 6 and 9, Keela would be up at 2 o'clock in the morning like she had a flight to catch. Nothing wrong, just up and singing. She's very musical, very theatric. Everything is a Broadway show. She's a girl. She was the only girl in her class until about 4th grade. So even in daycare, she was like the only girl. If anything dealt with autism, Keela was the only girl in there. I'm like, wow, what is, But for the most part, if you can keep a schedule, it'll make life a lot easier. The schedule at school, that was, online school, we just kept faithful to it. Even on the weekends, she was still getting up at the same time. Still, and that normalcy for her made it, okay, well, this is what we do. Now, another thing is her school shirt. She knew if I got her school shirt, it was time for school. So she was
Mm.
okay with that. Then after a while, she was like, "Look, how about we come downstairs before class started in my pajamas? We're still going to have school though." Okay, so it was just developing an attitude of we're going to do this together, and in everything around the house, if we go anywhere, it will be a part of what's going on in school. So if it was some math stuff, you know, all the songs on YouTube, she likes to look at YouTube. I have her tablet now, it's because she's on my phone. But this little device here was the reward system a lot of times. But whatever was going on in her class, if they had a music thing on fractions or something, it was on here. She only deals with YouTube, kid YouTube on here, and it just works. But from a parent's perspective, it kicked out every other aspect of me. I will say that because you're totally making sure she's clean, she's speaking because my daughter is considered nonverbal. With all the noise she makes, she's considered nonverbal. Um, uh, just practicing writing and just things like that. It was just school all the time, and I had to realize I became the school, the principal, because we still had paperwork to do, um, the teacher, the paraprofessional. She had a meltdown because she was like, "Look, I had enough math today. No, don't point." She would take the laptop and put it down. I had to tell the teacher she's had enough for today. Just give me what else you want us to do, and we'll do it. And so now she actually has been back to school. They see such a difference in her. She's a lot more calm. Now, for some reason or another, Keela will just get up and just dance and spin, and people will just look, and I'm like, let her have her moment. She's just having a
Give
moment.
that girl a movement break.
Right. And look, they got a sensory room at her school. I brought toys in there, but her teacher was really good because we had a daily communication notebook, just a regular notebook where the kids, the parents could write in, and the teacher could say she had a good day today. She worked on this, and when practice reading with her tonight or something like that. I have all 4 books, 5 books now. And so, look, this IEP that we're going to have right now, because they took her having an aide, they took that out of her IEP. So now she doesn't have one, and she won't have one for middle school. And I'm like, oh, no, no, no. You're going to put one back. They said, well, you have to prove to us that she needs it. So those books, just like Lonzo was saying, keep a record of the behavior. Me and the teachers kept all of those notebooks. And so from 2017 to 2020, we have all of the books to show how she had good days, what happened when she had those meltdown days, how it was so important that she had an aide. My daughter didn't start going to the bathroom on her own until she was 8. 8. She just started her cycle last August. Hello, she needs some help.
Yes.
So,
yeah,
I was like, she needs some help. Don't play.
yeah,
Don't play with me.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
I have a question. I have
Okay.
a question because you said something. So now she dances and all of that because is that because the schedule changed and she was able to dance whenever she wanted at home? And so now that she's back in the school environment, she still wants to dance. I don't know. I'm sorry if I'm.
She's always wanted to dance. Music is her everything. She is this expressive. I'm an artist, so it's to be expected.
Right.
Keela, she knows sign language, so I don't have to scream all the time. I'll tell her stop or come here or wait. She might not like it, but I ain't got to howl out in public too much. But I mean, right. She's a happy, expressive kid, and sometimes sitting for 2 hours is too much.
Yeah.
So she's got to get up and she'll just jump and spin around, and then she'll sit back down. But she need that moment. She might want to just run outside and walk in the grass with no shoes on. I let her go. Mm-hmm. If it's gonna make you better at what you do, I'm all for it. So she does have that outlet, and I'm glad she had teachers that could see that. But we even go to middle school. There's a whole new group of teachers, and everybody not nice because that gym teacher, I wanted to shake him.
Fighter, you just got to fight because they told me for years that my son would only qualify for a high school certificate. Honey, my son has a high school diploma. Okay.
Amen.
Don't play with me. He qualified for what?
Limit the
you have to
child.
fight. Like even sometimes your advocates, like just like how sometimes your public defender will tell you to just go ahead and take the best deal. You gotta go with your own instincts. You know what your child is capable of. Sometimes you
Exactly.
gotta even go against the people that is fighting for you. You
Yeah.
have to listen to what you is best for your child. They told me from the first IEP meeting that my son would not qualify for a high school diploma. Yes, he will. Yes, he will. No, he won't. No, he won't. My son is a Dunbar High School graduate of a high school diploma with a
Amen.
GPA of 3.67.
Amen.
Yes, yes.
Okay?
That's good. That's
Like,
good. That's
Uh,
good.
honestly, I really feel like the biggest key is to always keep looking for growth.
yeah,
And that's really the
Yeah,
biggest thing that we have to focus, like
that's good.
especially when you're dealing with autistic children. Always look for growth and never rest on your laurels, because what you'll find is okay, we can set this ceiling, but ceilings are only made of glass and they can always be shattered. So okay, at school they're saying we're going to be nonverbal. That's okay. When I speak to a child, even if they're a nonverbal child, I'm still going to try and use phonetic sounds,
That's
and I'm
right.
still going to try and articulate at times to see
right.
what picks up, because we
That's
never
right.
truly know what is going to pick up. So we
That's
have to
right.
keep trying. And even if we don't have the support at school, we have the University of YouTube now. Get out
Hmm.
there. Like,
Ah,
That's
there
how
are,
Sheila learned all of her shapes and colors. And
yes,
she learned all of that before she even got to kindergarten because music is her avenue. Math and reading and all of that, music. If
yeah.
she can sing it,
The tools that they can utilize now hint, hint, is great because
yes.
they were not accessible to me. Sorry.
So,
You
well,
you
so
No,
you 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 went gangster. Yours was
I had to
gangster.
do I had to do other stuff,
That's
but
old school.
but to be what but still it's still a fight. It's so sad. I mean, my son is about to be 23 years old, and like Lonzo said, it's not people rushing towards that. You're working with two people with 56 kids, so you see it's not a
Woo,
growing thing.
unreal.
So it's still a struggle. So I don't want to take anything away. Like 20 years ago, it might not have been. No, I know it's still a struggle. I know it is because again, it's the adult side of it. Like I'm coming to the point where Tony still needs advocacy for his adulthood. My son has a part-time job. He's working at Amazon. My son has a girlfriend. My son wants to get his driver's license. My son wants to talk about marriage and sex. They don't talk about this. At
Nope.
21, they give you the boot, girl. Boot.
Yes.
Bye.
Yes.
Bye.
well, what we got to do, especially for adult individuals,
Hmm.
we still have to make sure that they have a team. They
Right.
still need their therapist. They still
Right.
need their psychiatrist. And we need to reach out because there are outpatient treatment that can help support them, especially if they're higher functioning, that will just check in with them
Yeah,
to
and it's
help
a lot
support
of
them
it
through these
that
things.
That's
because of COVID, Lonzo and
I
Lydia, a
trust
lot
me, I know.
it's been like I literally couldn't get my son into anybody. John Hopkins said they have a 2-year backlog. University of Maryland said they have a 3-year backlog. So I mean, literally, there is a lack of once your artistic child gets adult, because let's mind you, Lydia, this journey doesn't stop at eighteen
right,
twenty
that's
one.
right.
So
exactly.
That's
I mean,
right.
I applaud what you're speaking of at the young advocate part of it, because trust me, that is growing, but we still got time. My son is 22 years old and I am still fighting and doing things. You know what I mean? Like for instance, he got a part-time job. They cut his SSI, cut his money
Yep.
completely.
Yep.
Okay, he's off of welfare. So, okay, so what does his benefits now go? Oh, well, this, that, and the dance around. Like it's so much that goes in a part of this. So,
Yeah.
like Lonzo said, keeping data, writing things down. Like it's a continuing journey. So,
Yeah.
you know, the childhood is just preparing you for adulthood. Because
Hmm.
there's another level, and now they're men and they're women, and now there's sexual things that's coming involved in certain things like that. So again, this journey goes further. You know
Yep.
what I mean, girl? We need more than 45 men.
Yeah,
So I was about to tell you guys. So
yeah.
we've been talking, believe it or not, for 45 minutes.
I knew that was gonna go
And
quick.
we definitely need more than 45 minutes. But before we close, I want everybody to think of that one thing that you would share, and please try to keep it to a minute or so, with someone, a new mother, a new father, um, parents of 3 and 4 years old, 4 year olds who are now being told their children are autistic and they have to start this, or even parents who are being told uh, with the kid in the womb, hey, because I've heard of this, maybe you want to discontinue this pregnancy. What word of encouragement would you give? Stephanie, we're going to start with you, Alonzo, and end with Kenya.
Well, at 18 years old, I had no idea. And when I was told that my son was artistic, I just took that as an honor. Like, look what God has placed for me. My God has picked me to raise this amazing kid. I know
Exactly.
that I know that might not be everybody's experience, but
Mm.
I did not go into this weary. I did not go into this, and mind you, we're talking 18. I went into this with I'm raising this amazing kid, and even these people, most of the people on on this live has seen me as a mother. I also have a son who has ADHD. I also have a daughter who suffers from anxiety, depression, and ADHD. So you're not talking to, oh, she just has an artistic son. No, 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 no. I'm dealing with 8 different battles. You hear me? So all I'm gonna tell you is to stay strong and believe in yourself. God don't give you nothing you can't handle.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. If I could tell any parent something, let me leave you with this one bit of information. Every child is special and every child is an individual. Every child has a way that they have to learn how to see, shape, and function in the world. Autism is no different than having to find ways to work with what you would call a typical child, or what you would call a child with Downs, or what you would call a child in any type of situation. It's merely just a small situation to deal with, a small step that you'll have to get through. And then a lot of times, that small step is going to help you build a muscle that will form a stronger bond
Mhm.
that will last for forever. So
Amen.
it's definitely not the end of the world. It is the revelation of a new world.
Yes,
Man,
yes.
I agree with both of them wholeheartedly. The best thing is there's something in you that you did not know, and it would take this for it to come out. God trusts you with this little soul. Look at that child, and you've covered some ground already, and you can keep going. But really realize that He trusts you with this little soul, or else they wouldn't be here.
Thank you, like everybody. I take my hat off to you. Again, my I have a daughter. She's not artistic. And I have to find my avenue some days to talk to her. But I don't think that I have been through it takes a fighter. It takes a fighter. Stephanie, I know you, so I know it takes a fighter. Kenya, I've seen you from the beginning. It has
You saw Keela come
taken
out.
I saw I did. I
You
literally
saw her
the
come
first time I've ever seen a baby born, it was Keela. Oh my goodness.
I
We
wasn't
don't
there
want to
for
talk
that.
about that.
I wasn't there for that.
I
out.
wasn't
We don't
there.
want to talk
I
about
wasn't
that.
there.
Oh
I wasn't
damn!
But
there.
They sure was.
I had some time. Key and I lived together for a while after she had Keela, and Keela as a little one, I love. Key will tell you I love to play with Keela. I would come in and I would hold Keela and I would play with Keela, and even when she got bigger, I would play with Keela. And then after Keela was actually diagnosed, it was even funnier for me to walk in my house and Kayla is sitting
In front of your
on the
refrigerator
sink.
eating.
No, she sat on the sink, remember, and she's in the mirror. And she's in the mirror sitting on the sink. And I'm like, why are you on the sink, Kayla? And she looks at me and I say, get down. She gets down, but then she turns the light off because she doesn't want to hear what I have to say.
Right.
And that was the way she communicated. And so, autism, as much as I don't know, I do know that it's, again, like Alonzo said, it's just finding that communication. So if you are out there and you have an autistic kid, hey, this panel, we're here for you. You can come to the Lioness Den page, leave us a message. I can put you in touch with these ladies right here and Alonzo on this page, because there is a way out. You are not in a world alone. There are others who are going through it and who can give you tips. To everyone on this panel, again, I take my hat off to you. Alonzo, my brother who I love.
Brilliant.
Yes, I take my hat
Brilliant.
off to you. The information you've shared with us today
I'm
has been
so
priceless.
proud. I'm
So
so
Has
proud
been
of
awesome.
you.
priceless, guy. And I tell you guys, people who just joined us, please go back and watch this live. Please like us,
I'm gonna go
subscribe
back
to
and watch
us,
it.
come back on here. We're here every month. We're here every month. As I close, because we are running close on time. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, ladies, for sharing your hearts. I've seen your hearts today.
Look at the
Stephanie,
shirt.
Stephanie, continue.
Yay!
Oh, we love your shirt, Alonzo.
Yay! I just
Stephanie,
got them. Don't
please
shoot them. Just don't shoot people in
don't
Baltimore.
shoot
Just
them, right?
Amen. Amen, Lord.
don't shoot
Amen.
them. Don't
But
don't kill them. Don't kill them.
Stephanie, to you, please, stay in the fight, and
Yes.
I would encourage you to become an advocate.
Yeah.
We
Well.
Yes.
need
Yeah. That's.
people. We
Oh
need people who
gosh.
have the heart for this and not
Yeah.
Girl, I'm gonna
just
call you. I'm gonna
the
call you.
talker.
Right.
Please
Well.
become an advocate, Kenya.
Yeah, it's
Kenya,
leading there. It's leading there. It's leading there.
yes,
It's not advocacy, but political science and policy. It's still leading there. It's leading there.
yes, and Kenya, you too. Come start some support groups or something, lady. Something where people can join you and have this conversation, not just once a year, because autism awareness is not just this month, but it's every day for people who live with this.
Amen.
Thank you again. And as we close, if you need to know things about autism, please, again, send us something on the Lioness Den. What we don't know, we will find out and share with you. If you need to contact these ladies, uh, Kenya has her information up there, but they're both on Facebook. Stephanie Carter and Kenya Kinu Sully,
You knew Sully, yeah.
right? Kenya
You
Kinu
knew
Sully.
Sully. Yep.
Please contact them. Alonzo Chapman, he's on there as Fawns P. Black. Check them out and contact them. They can help you. The Lioness Den is a place where we seek to help our sisters and brothers, but especially our sisters. This is a station that's about sisters supporting sisters. Thank you for joining us today. Like us, subscribe, come back, and God bless you.